Like the dad is like, I'm the dad that's trying to hold on to be cool and be youthful, knowing I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? But they know I love. They know I
Mhm.
love. They know I love. I'm just like, trying to, I want to be like it's getting to the point where like, I want to be disciplined and strong, but I still like, the more and more like older I get, I want to have that family. I want that like, yeah, like, the cool dad, I want you to be embarrassed now. My daughter gets mad because I will pull up to her school and music loud, just be corny, kind of corny, you know what I'm saying? But like, but I feel like they love me. Do you guys love me? Oh, they said, huh? Wow. Nothing. Never mind. Huh? What are you talking about? Okay. That's not the response I'm looking for.
Oh, what's up, y'all? Welcome to From Dad with Love. This is the podcast where we talk about fatherhood. We talk about the good, the messy, and everything in between. I'm your host, Aaron Reeder, and I got someone special here. I got Joseph Phillips. Welcome to the show. I definitely think you'll be able to bring some value to all the dads out there listening. And, we just going to sit and talk about fatherhood from the journey that we're at. And so, man, it's been a minute since we chatted. So welcome,
Absolutely. Yeah.
welcome to the show. And it looks like we may have a little bit of a visitor.
Oh, I hear. Well, now, man, shout out to you, man. Good to see you, man. Thank you for creating a platform for dads to come and talk about dads and just kind of give that real time perspective, man. So I
Yeah, yeah.
appreciate you, man. Shout out to you. Man.
Yeah, for sure. Man, during the intake form, you mentioned something about just being like your version of a dad and not somebody else's version. And I think before we get started, maybe just trying to like tap into where you are in your journey of fatherhood right now.
I feel like fatherhood is like for me right now is like that tough mudder race, man. Because you just like at the age I'm at and where I'm at with the kids, man. It's like God was like, I won't have you come the last minute of the race. So we're like, I got a full squad, man. If we want to go play 4-on-4, man, I got you. So right now we're at my oldest is 20. My daughter is 14, and the other princess is 5, and our special friend right here boy is too. So we're kind of like we're spread across the board with having to love at all different levels, different styles, different and then so I feel like I'm in the real time. I can give you perspective from all avenues. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yeah. And so and I got two. So I mean, you got, you got a couple more players to get in the game. Um
in the game.
man, what's it been just trying to navigate like, your son, you said your son's 20, so that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And so as you continue to add to the family, like what has that been like just going through those different phases?
Man, I think it's more or less you start to realize your parents and how they raised you, and you kind of understand as you get older. You kind of understand that's why. Because first you might not have liked it or understood it, but then you understand how the dynamics can change. So then you kind of like try to like, all right, that outcome might have been great for me, but I might not want that outcome or that vibe for mine. So I'm going to navigate a little bit, but use that foundational piece but then kind of figure out your own mojo. Because like as parents, we want to raise our kids differently. We want to take our foundational pieces as our parents, but a lot of the stuff you be like, man, I'm not trying to do that. That's not me. But you try to like create your own energy or your own vibe
Right.
for sure with your family.
Yeah. Man, so you talk about the foundational piece, man. So what was your, if you were to look back at your foundational piece growing up and you being a young man, experiencing like what parts of your foundational pieces do you feel like you kind of had to be like, I can't carry this one on, but I'm gonna bring this, or some pieces that are important.
I would say piece that I brought along was like probably like the overall objective, what is the end goal, how to get to the end goal. Now during the middle time, I'm changing up the flow because you know, there is, we had a very strong church background, right? It's very strong church background. We didn't really, saying kick it. My first time kicking it was with you guys. I remember we went to DV8. That was my first time ever going out. I was like, we were at
I could
20.
tell. I could tell that was your first time going
Yeah,
out.
that's what I'm saying. So like, like, do you really want to have that sheltered, you want that the structure, but shelter so much to where when you're on your own, you get a taste of the juice, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? So just kind of figuring out like just finding the balance, because like you want to like also too when you're having like I was raised with all boys, all brothers. So there's a different dynamic you have with brothers, but when you have like hey, I have a daughter, you have to like you got to change those things because you want like when things get real rough in the end, you want them to come to you. You want to have that like you know that bond. So just kind of changing a little bit some of the like I wouldn't say aggression, but the sternness of it. You know what I'm saying? Because it wouldn't that was good for me, but I don't think it's fit for what I got.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel the same because I had that sternness growing up, and I think as I start, well, I had my daughter first, and so it was just kind of like a eye opening moment of like, man, I can't. I gotta tame my aggression. I gotta tame the anger, the frustration that just come natural,
Uh-huh.
and I gotta figure out how to tame it. But if you never worked on taming it, right? Like you said, you got brothers, so I'm pretty sure during your whole time of growing up with your brothers, y'all was rough, y'all was, you know what I'm saying, doing all the things you need to do. And then you get a daughter and you're like, man, where am I supposed to pull from? I didn't have the practice, right? Like you don't have the practice of being gentle if you didn't have sisters or people raising you wasn't that gentle. So
Now, but do you think one of the pieces that I do like, and then my wife kind of like explained to me, she said, look, one thing I didn't like, because you know how like some households, families you grew up, when the parents had arguments or disputes, they would always go away.
yeah,
But then sometimes some parents didn't go away. It happened right in front of the kids, right? And I was always taught that like that's bad, right? But my wife kind of was like, well, think of it like this. Sometimes it's at moderation, right? But when you want to be able to actually know how to communicate with your spouse on heavy times, how are you going to know that if you never saw that?
yeah,
And if you never seen what it means to communicate, disagree, blow up, but still come back together, how are you gonna know to do that when it's your turn? You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And I think, well, I would throw this out there. I would say like, as the parents, do we really know how to communicate though? Like, just because we're gonna have a dispute and I want to have a dispute in front of my kids so they can see how to navigate it, I may not even be the right example to even show them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I hear you in terms of like, how do you have a conversation? Basically, how you have a conversation in front of your
Uh-huh.
kids
Uh-huh.
with your partner, and maybe it's a difference, maybe it's you disagree on something, but how do you do that? I think it's like you got to learn how to communicate. Like, just
Yeah.
because I grew up with both of those spectrums, I think there was moments where my parents would have a dispute argument right in front of me, like whatever. And then there was moments where one person would leave. So I've seen both. But just because I've seen both, I still don't doesn't mean I know how to
Yep.
communicate effectively. So I think like with my wife, we try to figure out like we just want to pour nothing but positivity in those moments. So it's okay for the kids to see us disagree on something,
Uh-huh.
to have a different opinion, but the moment that it looks like, tone starting to elevate, or it
Yeah.
looks like, unkind words are starting to be used, that's when we got to be able to shut it down, because you don't want to perpetuate
Uh-huh.
your kids basically growing up and they doing the same things you did. They seeking out the same person that you see,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that. It's that thing you said, that a key thing about the communication, like to bring it back to the kids, how to figure out them, because how they see communication is how they're going to communicate in the world around their peers or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? That's when
Yeah.
you start seeing like other things. So yeah, the communication I like. The communication piece is like I get for me is like a learn. It's a everyday learning thing. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
we're at different levels of like love. I tell everybody, hey man, like I gotta love so many different avenues as a dad, you know what I'm saying? Because you got the baby here, the 5-year-old, the 14, the
Yeah.
20, and then your wife, you know what I'm saying? And it's okay to understand that there's different levels of love that you have to actually outpour.
Yeah, and I think like your communication changes as you continue to get older, as your parenting journey grows. Like you said, you got a 20, right? So I'm sure the way you communicated to your son is different than the way you're communicating now to your kids, right?
Absolutely.
And so that also comes with like growth, development. So communication's got to be fluid. You got to be able to like adjust it as we have kids because it, whew, sometimes you like you start to be like, yo, I gotta I feel like throwing some of this out the window and just go back to what I know. But I have to be conscious. You got to be conscious of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He said, go back to what's comfortable. Since you're not understanding, I'm trying to talk to you nicely. Say like, but then I think that's the piece of the patience that we kind of build. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're talking to your kids and you say something, you're like, but did you not hear what I just said? Like, well, then it's like, then the response is like, "Huh, that's why would you say that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's that communication piece is big, man. It's definitely big, and when you got to go through the different motions of it, I think you also got to be willing to learn from your own mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, you got to be able to learn from your own mistakes, man.
You want and that's the piece of that growing piece that we're doing like 24/7. You know what I'm saying? And I think that once I realized like this whole parenting thing, it's like there's no right way. The thing is the end goal. You know what I'm saying? My
Yeah,
end goal is to make sure all my kids have decent jobs. They're taken care of. They have families. That's when like the outcomes. Like I guess you know however your map gets you there, because everybody's map's gonna be different. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
that's my thing. Is like success to me. That's
Hey,
success.
yeah, he said, let me tell you about that. Hey, let me tell you something.
Uh,
Man, I guess let me ask you this because you said because a couple of people have been on the show and this theme has come up a couple of times where it's like there's no there's no perfect way to raise kids or to be a dad. So let me ask you this: do you think there are elements of uh in kids that could be universal? And I'm gonna give you an example. Uh, teaching kids how to be kind to others, teaching kids how to have empathy for other people in their situations, or teaching folks how to um, uh, forgive or apologize. Like, do you think there are elements of parenting or fatherhood that actually we just don't teach? We don't pass along to everybody. So when we say there's no right way to do it, and we gotta do it from our own lens, there might still be some elements of it that all of us really should be doing. So that way, when my kid interacts with your kid, they both gonna be kind to each other. They're both going to be able to have empathy for each other. Like, do you think that's something that should be looked into more, or do you just feel like, nah, there ain't no perfect way, and that's just what it
well,
is?
no, absolutely, man. Like I think that it was like the old school fashion ways. Like you remember back in the day when you was in school. Hey, go sit with your friend. What is your name? My name is such and such. My name, and they shake hands. You said hi, high five. Now kids are taught to like not to speak to kids. Be strong. Like they're taking the whole being strong to a whole nother level. To where it's like you're missing the basic stuff of like basic communications. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to like when you go to a park or somebody's saying, hey, do you want to play with me? Do you want to do this? Do you want to? Okay, thank you. Do you want to do this? Or like, just actually just being kind. We're not for some reason, but I think some of the trauma we're passing down to our kids to not be kind. And that's not really fair because like it's almost like you see in real time, we are generating like generational hate. You know what I'm saying? Like we are was like subconsciously not even knowing like, oh, we don't do that, we don't talk to them. Or you go like even you go to like a somewhere where you're going to be I guess, a low percentage of the culture, "Oh, we don't do this." You're coming in there with, like, a block standards off attitude to where you're not being welcoming, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the past most of the stuff is, like, just saying hello saying hi, how are you doing today, or opening the old school stuff. Like you see somebody come to the door, open the door. I love it when I
Yeah.
see a young man,
Yeah, but
or
we ain't
even
teaching that though. You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't teaching that.
I don't know what I think that's like I said that falls back into like what we're passing down just between the culture, what we've been experiencing in the past couple of years. The division has curated the thing of not to do that. Like, don't do that because then people think that if you do that, you're showing a sign of weakness or they're walking over you, whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. But you said something. You said we, passing down trauma. Well, here's the thing. How do you even know what trauma you passing down if you are not willing to go find out what the trauma is that you got? Like one, yeah, if we got trauma, but you're not doing no work to figure out what the trauma is, and especially in the role as a father, like if we don't do work on ourselves, we're gonna pass down trauma like unknowingly. Like, if you got a son, you're gonna pass down hyperaggression, you're gonna pass down, whatever challenges you might have with authority or power. Like a lot of us ain't doing the work either to figure out like what traumas I need to fix. So that way when I have kids, I'm not passing down a tainted map. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that we subconsciously don't know, but like there's always something that happens in life that reminds us, like, dang, oh, I'm doing what so and so did to me. I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, like say for instance, like I guess how you handle a situation that, you just go like you said before, like, going to what's comfortable, right? And then that's what's comfortable may not be the actual way to do it, but we're going to what's comfortable, and then it's like I think through time and through actions, through other things, we kind of realize what traumatics that we went through. You know what I'm saying? Now, if we accept it, that's a different story.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what you said, like, like I think a lot of times as parents, we don't accept like, oh dang, this is because of me. Like I did this. This is because of my actions. Like, oh dang it, how do I? But we jump from that to like, how do I unravel? You know what I'm saying? Versus realizing like, dang, that was kind of me. You know what I'm saying? I taught that.
Have you ever had any of those moments?
Heck yeah. Yeah. The moments I've had and I've gotten better at them is like when situations like it's uncomfortable or you gotta do parenting, instead of addressing it, you just let it fade away.
Like you ain't talking about it, like you
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to, but you
yeah,
just like,
need to. You're like, you know what, this is, it's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? Don't address it. You know what I'm saying? And just, and just letting it go, but not realizing when you do that, you kind of show like, oh, you don't care. It's not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Then you start building up that like, okay, I can do whatever type thing because you didn't acknowledge that point. You know what I'm saying? It's like almost to where like I want it's not neglect, but it's like it's like, okay,
avoiding
okay.
you're avoiding
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
conflict
yeah.
that
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
happen.
Point. Exactly, exactly, exactly,
Yeah, and
exactly.
you know what? I feel like that's been something that I recognizing more, but what I also recognize is I'm lacking the skill set, the development of like repairing. And so you said something at the beginning of this. You were like, we had examples of parents who left or parents who argued in front of their kids. What I didn't get a lot of was a lot of repair in front of me. Like if there was an argument or a disagreement, I didn't see a lot of times when my parents was like, let's sit down. Here's where I was wrong. Sorry that this happened. And so because I never saw that and I didn't see much of it as an adult and as a father, some of the struggle areas for me is like if I do something wrong, I say something the wrong way to my kids, my wife will be looking at me like, "You need to go fix that." And then on the inside of me, I'd be like, "Man, if I just like, what I'm saying, I don't want to go over there." And then I do
You
go
know,
over there. When I do go over there, I feel like I'm a 8-year-old kid, like trying to come to somebody and be like, "I'm sorry for what I did. I should have did this better." Like if you was recording me doing it,
uh,
you would be like, "Man, this is the younger version of him trying to like apologize." And so that's, I think, something that plays a factor in that. It's not just avoiding, it's like we don't have the skill. We haven't even practiced the skill to like repair things. And maybe that's a question to you is like, have you seen a lot of repair
no,
from your
it's
parents?
bro. No, well, no. I mean, it's more or less like it was more or less like it wasn't repair. We're just like you never saw. I never saw the argue. Like never saw the argue. But then now I got on this side of the fence, you know what I'm saying? As I get older, I call my mom and I'm say, Mom, and then she'll kind of give me a little, little juice. Like, oh, okay, so you do know, you just chose not to tell. You know what I'm saying? I
Oh,
guess but I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that at that generation, they were just like they never argued. So like when I got my situation, like I didn't know because I never saw it. I never
yeah,
saw it.
yeah, yeah. And so it's like we gotta figure out how to practice that in front of our kids so they can
Yeah,
see
because
the differences.
they're different, but then they need to see. I guess that's real conflict resolution.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? They can really see like, a conflict, how to address it, how to like, keep the tone down, but you can still there's ways to be like, aggressive but not disrespectful aggressive, and then you have that conversation. But like you said, long enough the tone doesn't get too crazy. But then seeing like after like a period of time, the two parties do figure out a common medium and they just go about their day. You know what I'm saying? Like they see that to where it's like so it's not like it doesn't go from like disagree to like now we're yelling, now we're talking about something totally different. Now it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like just seeing that I think that's probably like the one of the most like impactful things that learned, as a husband and also as a dad is that
yeah,
that piece right there.
yeah. And it's like kids they watch everything, man. Like even when we don't even realize it, when we realize, like I think my daughter one time told me and my wife, like, she says, why are you guys talk fighting? That's her word, talk fighting. She says that when we're having a disagreement. And, it's a little bit above,
You're like,
monotone.
hold on, man. First of all,
It's just a
who
little
taught you
bit
that word?
it's just a little bit above,
Yeah.
neutral. And so we had to explain to her that this is sometimes what having a difference of opinion might look like, but we also got to be conscious of showing her the other side, like showing her the loving side, showing her side when we do agree on something, and showing her side where I'm like, babe, you're right, and I got to practice that. So, what do you think your kids, how would they describe you as a dad right now?
Different levels. I think I'm like the dad that like, it's like, that you ever watch that show, what's the show on Netflix? It was a writer that had the show for a second. It had one season. He was a writer of Blackish.
I think I know the writer, but you gotta give me the
You know,
show.
so he's a dad. Like basically they were the Tatum. What's this? What's that show on Netflix with the dad with the family? They had the daughters and they was like in L.A. Not Blackish. The one the writer from Blackish. The one that yeah yeah Black AF.
I
You
don't know
watch
if
that
I seen. I
before?
don't know if I seen it.
Oh, bro, the dad on there, that's me, man. Like the dad is like, I'm the dad that's trying to hold on to be cool and be youthful, knowing I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? But they know I love. They know I
Man,
love. They know I love. I'm just like, trying to, I want to be like it's getting to the point where like, I want to be disciplined and strong, but I still like, the more and more like older I get, I want to have that family. I want that like yeah, like, I'm the cool dad. I want you to be embarrassed now. My daughter gets mad because I will pull up to her school, turn the music loud, just be corny, kind of corny, you know what I'm saying? But like, but I feel like they love me. Do you guys love me? Oh, they said, huh? Wow. Nothing. Never mind.
hey, you might not want that to be answered right now.
Huh? What are you talking about? Okay, that's not the response I'm looking for.
Oh,
But I feel like I'm a cool dad. I'm very supportive, and whatnot. So yeah, what about you? How do you think your kids feel you?
man, I think they view me as like I'm still willing to do play and have fun, but I'm also like I'm super tired and stressed all the time, and that's what I want to fix. Like seriously, I think there's been
But
some
Aaron, but it's okay though. Here's the thing, though. That they see that's the part that when they look back 10 years from now, of you're gonna be like, hey, I was stressed out working hard, so I'm building this empire for you. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't at this stage they don't know that, man. Then
true,
would you?
true.
And then like if you take your foot off the gas, and then 10 years later, like what happened? Well, I kind of wanted to love you, whatnot. Well,
I
Dad,
know,
I
but here's
guarantee.
the thing: they don't care about that though. Like at the end of the day, you can give your kids everything in the world, and they can still look back and be like, man, you was mean all the time, or like
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
like there's been some times where they've just asked me like Dad, are you happy? And I'm like, to get a kid to ask you that question, it's like, hey, I got a moment where I gotta think, am I about to tell them the truth and
Uh,
be like, no, I'm stressed, or I'm about to be like, no, I'm good. And even when I say I'm good, uh, I asked one day, like, why do you say that? And they're like, well, you're not smiling, or you making this certain face where you don't look happy. So it's like I gotta check myself. But I think my kids, they know I love them. I'm playful. I'm the one that they're gonna call when they want me to do flips, and like I'm still trying to hold on to my youth, like still trying to show them like, oh, I could do that. And then I gotta do it with moderation because now like I ain't trying to pull them up,
I
right?
break no
Tear my
Achilles. Yeah.
ACL. But no, they would definitely think playful and care a lot about them, love them deeply. And
Uh,
so, and funny, man. I try to be funny as I can.
they got a cool dad. You a solid brother, man. You a solid brother.
Man, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. Look, I think you said something about like being the best, being your version of a dad. I think that's what you said.
Uh, uh,
What you mean? What do you mean by like you want to be your version of a dad?
man, I want to be like.
Who else's version of a dad would you be?
Well, I mean, I have my dad's foundational piece. My dad's foundational piece as a man, I mean, I pull from that like constantly, you know what I'm saying? But then as a dad, man, I just feel like there's a little more. There's a little more and then, like I want to be the supportive dad, right? And it's not always like it doesn't look like always going to events, right? You know what I'm saying? It may be like recently, like my daughter, she has a friend she likes, right? You know what I'm saying? And ways to build support and is to build that bond is like situation arise, how do you support her even though you're like, heck no, you know what I'm saying? And a situation arise here a couple like last week, and then she was like, well, dad, can I go give him a hug? I was like, yeah, yeah, of course. Thank you for asking that. But then I felt bad. At the point I was like, she was like scared to like, what I'm saying? Like, I don't want you to be scared, boo, you know what I'm saying? Then also too, there's other girls there. I was like, hey, I need you to stunt. So I said, go ahead and, go give him a hug. But it wasn't like uh nothing crazy, but at that time, it was like that was my moment of like, all right, Joe, you could say no, but there's gonna be a backlash, and you're gonna lose that she's not gonna talk to you, or you don't want to
Yeah,
support. She's not gonna allow you. This is your time, even though like in your mind you're like no, but when I did that, she came back and she was smiling in the car, and we kind of talked. It felt like it was like that moment,
yeah,
being supportive in these different roles for my kids. Is something of course my parents did, what I'm saying, but back when our parents were parenting us, they was working, there was a different type of like I said different type of obligation that was needed back then, toward now it's like the support looks different for our family, you know what I'm saying, or what I want to be. I want to be different, man. I want to be like, like going to the soccer games, going to the stuff, like when you said last week you was getting ready for it was a birthday party.
yeah,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Because those type of stuff that you want to like look back on, like, to me, like things like that take the stress off when things get hefty because you're like, I'm here though, I'm present, I'm here when us.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think being present happens in a lot of what different ways, like not just like being present emotionally. Like you said, that moment that you had with your daughter, that was an opportunity to emotionally be present. Where it's like, that she wants to connect. There's other variables at play. Her friends are around her. And so being present, not just physically, which I think for us as dads, that's like the default becomes like if I'm a present dad, like I'm showing up to I'm gonna be at the game, I'm gonna be at the event, the dance performance, all the things, but also there's a being present with love, being present emotionally, psychologically, all of that is also about being present too.
Yeah. And that's a piece, I guess, just as you get older, you learn though, so I didn't know that going into this, I'm saying, but learning, like, going through situations and understanding what that looks like enables me to like, all right, this is how, how I should do.
Yeah. Yeah. When we say sometimes we say like we ain't got the answers to lead. How do you father when there are parts of it that you ain't got the answer to it because you ain't never seen the answer. We got boys around us that are dads, but it's not like dads are sitting down and telling each other like, yo, this is what I did. this worked for me, this strategy. So how do you father when or father parts of the journey when you don't even know how to do it? Like, what do you do?
That's the piece I love because you don't know. It's like you're almost creating your own path. I love situations like that because we don't know. And then I think that that pulls out the grit. Like, what are you gonna do? You just gotta take everything that you've learned in different areas and figure out how to make your own recipe to figure out that out that because you're leading, you know what I'm saying? That sometimes you're leading when it's light, leading when it's dark. But and then also too they look to you for like that power, that guidance, you know what I'm saying? And like
Yeah.
those are times that you just like, hey, I don't know how this is gonna roll. At least you guys know from the start, but we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out step by step. But just so you know, Daddy don't know. Daddy does
Yeah.
not know. But we're gonna just as a family, we're gonna figure it out. And if
Yeah.
it you know what I'm saying? That I think that's that piece that like we talk about like that connection piece that brings everybody in and like, okay, at least I'm not acting like I do know. I'm saying I don't
Mhm.
know. But then we're gonna do this together. Everybody's input is welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? That's crazy, man, because I think that's like, to me, that's like the most key piece of just being able to honestly say to your kids, like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But then how's it feel for you too? Like when you yourself, you say it out loud to yourself, like, it'd be different when your boys, you don't know. Sometimes like I'm like, bro, I don't know. But then, just saying honestly situation like I don't have the answer, like, subconsciously, like that it was us to like release some of that, like, what I'm saying? Like, how we talked about before, like of not speaking about it, holding it in, like you're
yeah.
actually saying to like your most vulnerable people, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Man. So, my daughter 9, and so she be asking 1,000 questions about 9-year-old stuff. And sometimes I don't know how to answer the questions. And I want to be at the place where I can answer her with real answers, because I'd rather she get answers from me and my wife as opposed to her friends or
Mm,
somebody else, right? But what I've learned is it's okay to be like, hey, this is uncomfortable for me because I never talked about this when I was your age. And so being
mm.
able to realize things like that, or answer questions that my daughter's asking, and me being able to say, like, yeah, dad don't know, but I'll try to figure out the best way to answer this. Or if it looks like I'm uncomfortable talking to you, it's because I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you got to be able to, I got to be able to say that.
Yeah, I think as she gets older, it's like you can be like, man, you talk to your mom about that. You know what I'm saying? Like at 9, you're like, I love
Nah, you
you.
got to
First of
talk
all,
to dad, man.
I know, but at first, like, I love you. First of all, where'd you hear this from? That's what you want to ask. Where'd you hear this from? Let's start there. But then, like, we'll see. Well, I can't remember Tatum when she did that. Like Parker's up next, so like I can give you data here in a couple, years. You know what I'm saying, but I mean, and then I have no problem. Like I guess because and then this is what I got to work on. Like subconsciously, I'm still a dad, right? So I don't want to. I want to give the dad response. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really fully, saying you try to give the real
Yeah, but
response,
what
get the
what's
dad's
the
response.
dad?
Like the dad response is, man, like, oh
No,
no,
man.
I love you and you love
I'm
me.
I'm the
That's all
no.
you need.
I'm the no dad. I am the no dad right now. Oh my god.
Oh, you know that? You didn't know
I'm
that?
I'm the no dad right now, man. My
I wish
son,
I could be no
he
dad.
just look at me. He'd be like, I ain't about to ask you for nothing because daddy always say no. And I'm like, and I don't
Yeah,
have I don't have a middle. See, I don't have a middle. I'm like gas or break. That's it. So it's either I'm a no dad one week or I'm yes dad after that. Because then I try to balance it. And I'm like, all right, you can have whatever. You can have everything.
whatever you want.
I got no middle, man.
I struggle. I have no. I'm a yes dad right now, man. Like it just. I am, man. It's like
And how's that
yeah,
working for you?
it sucks, but it's okay. It's okay. It sucks. It's okay though. I think it's needed right now, man. Because like I said, like, a lot of this stuff, man. Like it goes back to being present. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, before got married, the kids, was playing music. Was always gone on the weekends, right? And then like the piece of it is like, you know, is balancing out now. Like I'm kind of like enduring the endurance of what it means to be stable versus Friday, Saturday, and you're gone. Then Sunday, then back to June. So there's no really like no like uh stable placement. So now it's like ever since the thing shut down, that kind of like I was to tell you to everybody, man, like I was thankful. The pandemic is different for everybody, but for me and like the family and being a dad, that's probably the best thing that could happen to me, man.
Kind of slowed you
To be
down,
the
stopped it.
man, bro, man, I'll tell you to slow it down. And like it when they when they talk about like the world must stop for me to do this, that was for me. The world must stop. But then that forced me just to, for one, like, all right, you need to know how it feels to be here because you're a
Yeah,
dad. Dads are like, what I'm saying, like, dads are like a lifelong thing. You gotta know what it feels like, what I'm saying? Like you can't go, what I'm saying? And that was like that was that was a change because I was used to just, just go, go, go. But then that enabled me to get me to where I'm at now. And
and
now she
that probably impacted your kids too, right?
what? Man, what and in a good way though. In a good way because then it was like they got used to daddy, daddy was here. You know what I'm saying? Daddy was, here. Then like, Parker was raised in the pandemic. So, just like and then it was just like it was a thing of like it was meant to like bring us together as a core. You know what I'm saying? We were as a family, but then like to actually get the family piece rolling, that was some very, very formative years, very formative years, and that able to me like be a better dad now and understand what a dad or what able to me to grow to understand what type of dad I wanted to be.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Without any of the other distractions, because it was like it needed to happen for me to really just figure out what type of dad do you want to be, bro. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say that type of dad is now?
man, loving, supportive, caring, nurturing, and just being present. You know what I'm saying? Being present, you know what I'm saying? And then also too just teaching, teaching by like your mistakes and just teaching from your lens. Hey, what would you not do? What would you do this? You know what I'm saying? What not? And
Mhm.
also just how to be a good person as well. But only that happens if you but you must be present. So
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I can't I would go through it all over again, bro. I would go through it all.
No, that's good. I mean, that's good. Like, knowing that you go through it again with the learning that you got, I think is a good place to be as a dad, because I'm sure there's some dads that are like, nah, I ain't never going through this again. I would never do this again. So that's good. Has your kids ever taught you something that changed you as a parent?
Yes. They reflect actions that you don't know you're saying or doing. And when it comes a time when they said, well, dad, you do this and you do that. And I was like, oh, just it hurts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because like for them to say that at that time and moment, it tears you up inside. Cause
exactly.
you kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, if you're up on a scale, who you love better, your daughter or your wife, you know what I'm saying? Some days,
Someday you want them to be like, Dad.
you know what I'm saying? So like, and then like think one day Tatum really kind of like Tatum and Desmond had a time he had said something to me and I was like, that broke me down. And then, but Tatum, with your daughters, daughters, your sons, you're like, well, you don't understand, but then it still hurts you. But when your daughter says something to you, you're like, ah, dang, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It cuts a little different. And then that's when you kind of like, all right, I got to change this up. That's when you kind of go into like cold turkey, you know what I'm saying? Cause you see that small piece can evolve to something crazy if you don't like, you don't change it. You know what I'm
yeah, yeah. If you don't change it, it definitely can have long term
saying? Yeah,
impact.
but then not knowing you do it though, then it coming out, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Not knowing
yeah,
that you
yeah,
do
yeah.
that, you're
It's
like,
like a
"Oh,"
slap in
like
the face. It's like your kids
yeah,
they like turn the mirror and they be like, "Look at you," and you're like,
for a second, you
"Oh
get
yeah."
quiet, you be like, "Okay,
It
you're
do
right."
hurt though, man. It do
It
hurt.
do,
It do hurt.
it do, and
That's
then
real.
you don't want that. You don't want that, man. You don't want that. So it's like, that's when that whole, like you mentioned before, that leading parent, just you don't know where. That's when those parents like, okay, cool. I've never been this part of a dad before. And like, hey, babe, I didn't know. I'm sorry. We're gonna work on this. You know what I'm saying? That's that darkness piece. You know what I'm saying? When you're laying in the dark.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's like we got to lead in the dark, but there's tons of dads around us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but you know what it is, man. Like, like as a dad, you wanna have that coat of armor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think all the real dads know, like, okay, we know that ain't no family perfect. We get that, but we're not gonna say that. We understand that. And then, but then it's like asking for help. Like I'd rather, we all, I don't know, what do you think? So like say like you ain't seen your boys in a long time. You've been stressed out, you know what I'm saying? You really want to get together and talk about your stress or just catch up on some bro time. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we choose sometimes, like, you know what? I need to relax. Do I want to talk about my problems or do I want to just you know what I'm saying? And I feel like as men, we kind of just like, sometimes I just choose like, hey, I want to feel good for a second with boys. We're gonna just, laugh at it, have a couple drinks, you know what I'm saying? Then that just that it's not fixing the problem, but it enables you to have the endurance to continue to figure out how to fix that problem. We don't talk about that, once, you know, dads, you know what I'm saying? But it does exist. It does exist.
No, it exists, but also I think what I've learned now is like sometimes, man, you just ain't got the right people in the circle that you can actually have that conversation with. Like we sometimes hold on or try or find ourselves in places where you holding on to friendships that they served a purpose for a different time, like a different chapter of life. And so now that you're older and you're a parent, you're a dad, and you're struggling, it's like sometimes, man, you got to find some new folks in your circle that they're going to be the ones that's going to ask you like, "Yo, how you doing?" And you go, "Well, I'm good." And they're gonna be like, "Nah, how you really doing though? Like, what's really going on?" Be able to have those conversations about what's hard as a father, what's not working, and that's on us. Like, we got to seek those people out, man. And I've kind of realized that now as I've gotten older and became a dad, like, you're right. Sometimes you just want to talk about what's hard, but you got to find the people to plug into that circle. Otherwise, you go into the same folks that all they want to
Same
do is just
outcome.
chill. All they want to do is chill.
Yeah. And that's not, and then subconsciously you don't, you want to grow, you don't want to chill, you want to grow, you want to figure out, but then you don't like, you like, well, and also too, man, what you say, well, they're not in the same headspace as you're at, bro. You got to realize that that's the thing, and that's the thing as you get older, you know, and it's like that sad piece of life, you know what I'm saying? Because you got so many memories, so many things, but it's like the mental headspace where people are at. If it doesn't help you as a dad or grow your family, you're like, is it, you start having those subconscious, like, is it really smart for me? Is it
Yeah,
healthy? Is this, you know what I'm saying? Is it gonna bring me peace of mind? You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And
Eh,
it's okay if it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then like to me, like that's one thing I'm all about peace of mind, man. Peace of
yeah,
mind. And like, because I need that other energy to do what I gotta do here
absolutely.
at the home.
Absolutely, man.
You know what I'm saying? And then
The
you
peace
just
of mind
kind of
is so critical, bro.
man,
Like
peace
as
of
you
mind,
as
bro.
you become a dad, as you become a partner and you got a family, it's like you said, you need to be able to give them everything. And if you in spaces and around people that all they doing is pulling and they're not withdrawing, I mean all they doing is withdrawing, they're not making deposits into your life, bro. I'm all for like I need peace of mind, man.
Cause I mean, and then, but that it goes back to like that's the growth of the dad, man. That like that's that like to me, it's that uncomfortable growth. It's like that unfortunate, like sad growth. It happens, but it's like that piece of growth that you have to accept. You know what I'm saying? They accept, and then it's like it's nothing bad. It's just the fact that like you know where you want to go, and you want to look back 20 years from now, like you made the right decisions to get where you're at. You know what I'm saying? Every decision isn't going to be like the favorite decision. You know what I'm saying? I got to make a decision for my family. You're leading your family. You got to make decisions because you want to make sure your family gets to point A to point B. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I feel you on that, man. I feel you on that.
Yeah. Has there been a recent parenting moment that is either like made you laugh, you know what I'm saying, or the opposite of that, that it just made you be like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So like, let me ask this. So was there any competitiveness later earlier with your son or your daughter? I don't know who was loved more.
who would love more? No,
Yeah,
but they fight for attention. I mean, yeah,
man,
they're
bro.
at the phase of like they're at the phase of fighting for attention. So if
Okay.
one person get one thing, the other one could be all the way down the hall and they look over and be like, "Where's mine?" It's like I'm cutting it. I'm like cutting it up right now. Like I'm about to give that to you. So they're definitely in this space of like of that sibling like sibling
I love it.
rivalry, but also like attention. I don't think there
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
space where they feel like one's loved more, but definitely.
The tension, yeah, tension,
But
yeah.
I will say this though, there has been a couple moments where I think my daughter was like, "It sounds like we're being nicer to my son because he's 4.5. Sometimes the way you talk to a 4.5-year-old might be like a little more kitty, like what I'm saying, like
It's different.
and then my daughter, remember I'm the no dad. My daughter, all she hearing from me is like, "Nah, Kennedy, you need to hurry up. We need to get dressed. We need to." And so there was a moment where she kind of said like, "Y'all, you love Davis more," and it's like I don't love
Okay,
more, but
let's see. Once again, your podcast is great because you hit a soft spot. So I love that you talked because so like once again you're bringing topics up that Dad will talk about. So like Parker, that's my boo. Parker was born during the pandemic. But I love all my kids. Parker was the one that kind of like was the one that kind of peeled the layers of Joe back. Right? She was the one, you know. So when her brother, when her brother came, she wasn't really thrilled about it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
She
I
was
wish
not
she
really
did.
thrilled. Oh, bro, man, listen. So then, like, even so now we're at the stage now, like, they love each other, but then she'll be like, you, because I'll hold. He's two. You know what I'm saying? So I'll pick him up. I have to pick her up too. But sometimes, bro, I'll be leaving in the morning, holding a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old in my hands to make sure emotions are okay for the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But we're in the phase of like, I got to make sure that like she feels love still, though she's not feeling like neglected, because she is the middle child. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do we figure that out?
yeah,
A funny moment was when, well, I tell you, the funny moment was, I know I told Rachel before, like, my daughter was at her friend's house and the boy she liked was there, you know what I'm saying? And I was just, I pull up in the truck, I'm not speaking to nobody, I'm not going to go, you're going to earn this respect, bro. So then she came outside and like, her friends were there and it was like he was there and then like he had turned it around. I promise you. I told her she had came outside, was walking to the truck, but he had turned around like he was gonna hug her, but she didn't see it. And she came, got in the car, and I was like, "Baby girl," he said, "Bye." I said, "Go give him a hug." She said, "Are you okay? Are you okay with that?" I was like, "Yeah, go give him a hug." You know what I'm saying? She walked over there, he gave her a little hug, and then he came back, and that was like that. I was laughing to myself because it was like I was mad, but I was laughing. You know how you laugh with your anger, but it was like that moment was like, okay, cool. So I'm the cool dad. Then I got in the car. Then I started asking questions I really didn't care about, like, so how was the party? In my mind, I was like, you just hug this dude, but but no, but that was like the funny well, that was a recent funny moment that I had was like it was like a funny but mature moment for me. So
yeah, yeah. Okay.
I know.
No, go ahead. What was you gonna say?
No, no. What about you? There's got to be something. You know what I'm saying?
Let me see. A funny moment, man. I'm trying to think, man, because we got tons of moments that just that be hilarious, and I think it's well, my son right now is he's in like the dress up. Like he got 50,000 costumes. He got a jet pilot costume, firefighter, chef, like what I'm saying, everything. And so like sometimes I will. I don't know if you know who Danny Go is. You know who Danny Go is? Danny Go is like this guy on TV who he does songs, but
Okay.
all this stuff is like moving around, jumping, and like my son has memorized every Danny Go episode. So it's like they like dance moves. And there was a moment where like I tried to do something to be like the dad that's like there's a scene where the guy does slow motion. Like the camera makes the guy jump up super slow and he's like bouncing up and down, turning. So my son's like, Dad, he's doing it. I'm trying to think like, yo, I'm about to make you do slow motion too. So I pick him up and I'm just moving him slow, just turning him in the air. So now, anytime that is on, I gotta do slow motion.
Yeah, stress. Oh, I hear it coming. Okay, the theme song is coming.
And it's like it used to make me get like at the first couple times I'd be like, all right, man, like I'm kind of done with slow motion, bro. But now I really just like I notice, man, like it's like creating moments for him where that dude's gonna remember. Like, bro, my dad used to make me do slow
The
motion
slow
in real
motion.
life.
Come on,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so it's like those are the moments where like I laugh because I'm like, he wants me to do these things that are so corny in my head, but it's like it's giving him life. And so man, I just, I try to
His
do it.
memories.
Yeah, I try to do it, create these memories, but sometimes I feel like I'm looking super corny, but it's whatever, man. Like,
It's
you
for
know,
them.
yeah, it's for them.
It's for them, man. It's for
It's for
them.
them.
Nobody's
It's for
watching,
them.
man. It's for
But hey,
them.
but there was a time though we had some guests over. He was like, "Dad, cue up, like let's run it." And I'm thinking like, "Nah, bro, I don't
No,
want
I
to do this,
know
bro."
that. My friends are
But,
here.
but I had to suit up, bro. I had to suit up. So
I love it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah. Man, well, shoot. I was gonna ask you one last question, man. This is
Yes,
something
sir.
that we asked everybody on the show. If there was one thing that you could say to another dad with love, because this is from Dad with Love, what would it be?
You're the shit.
What you mean?
You're the like Mike. You're like with dad. Like any dad that is trying to do what he is doing is the shit. I know I was cussing, but like that, I think that we don't give dads enough like praise or just because I'm saying he may not be perfect, it may not be what I'm doing, it might not be what so and so's doing, but you're trying to getting up every single day, trying to make it work, trying to figure out you're the shit, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that we just don't give enough praise to dads. I feel like this society has like paint a picture of what a real dad's supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? They don't. It's like it's all the different levels of being a dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And if you're being the best dad you can be, then bro, man, you're good with me, man. You're
yeah,
good with me because sometimes you don't realize some dads are doing all they know. They weren't taught this stuff. They weren't taught. They weren't. Some dads were raised just like by themselves, and they're dads, and they're doing exactly what they're doing. They're figuring this. They got they're figuring this out tougher than you and I. Cause at least you and I had, interaction. Imagine somebody didn't have interaction. They're just being a dad, but they're the first dad for generation. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
then they're just figuring it out. You're good with me, man. You're good with me.
Man, shoot, man. Appreciate having you on the show, man. Just being vulnerable. I think one, being able to see your kids in the background, just being dad mode in real life in real time. But also, I think reminding us that we need to show up as our own version of the dad that we want to be. So appreciate you being on the show, man.
Man,
And,
appreciate you, man. Keep
yeah,
having the platforms like this for dads, man, just to come and like, just, express, you know what I'm saying? Cause I feel like a little different now. Before I got on, I feel like, wow, I had a conversation about being a dad to one of my boys, man, and just, I feel like you just kind of I feel a little different, so I encourage you to keep this going and kind of get a movement. Other dads, and if there are dads out there, man, tap in with Mr. Reader, man. This would be a great platform, and just I want you to feel how I feel after this podcast.
man, appreciate you, man. Till next
It's
time.
awesome.
Thanks for tuning in to From Dad with Love. If this episode made you laugh, feel seen, reflect, please share with another dad. And remember, this isn't about being perfect, just about being present. Tune in next time with love.